Facebook as well right now. You might hear a little bit of an echo, but man, I'm really excited to have you today. Thank you for joining us today. Again, like we talked, the goal of today is talking about leading through a season of chaos, like trying to find strategies and see what other business leaders out there are doing to really, push through this season. So today, I'm so excited to have Nathalie on. She is an amazing powerhouse. I mean, she's managing multiple businesses, from grant writing to supporting ministry leaders. She hosts an amazing conference called LIT. I know a lot of you have heard about the LIT conference, supporting the youth. I mean, it's so amazing the things that she's doing today. So I'm really excited to have her on because she is really thriving in this season. And she's going to give you some tips and strategies to really help us through this season. Because again, I think leaders need to hear from other leaders to know that they're not the only ones going through this, but that they can get through this season. So how you doing today, Nathalie?
First of all, I'm super excited to be with you. And I love all the, at the end of the day, you are the leader that leads this leader. So I'm appreciative to share a little bit, and really thankful for, all that you do for leadership development and with teams. And you've been a phenomenal resource, guide in the work that I do. So thank you to you for that.
Yay. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So, of course, with the coronavirus, we have been, I won't say crippled, but crippled in a way. So a lot of people might be struggling. A lot of people don't really know how to transition in this season, but with working with you and just seeing you strive and thrive and navigate through this season, I really want to talk about how, when this first hit you, because again, your husband, I mean, you guys manage a church, you have so many team members under you. So how were you able to navigate? But before we get into how you were able to navigate, let's talk about, how did this initially affect you? Like, what was the first area that you were like, we need to do something?
I think for both my husband and I, it was kind of like when you manage several teams, but also when you lead a congregation, there's really there's not a lot of room for you to check out. There's no room to just be like, you know what, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not answering calls, because life is still happening. We still have members who are, battling through sickness. We still have people to bury. We still, there's all of this life that is still happening in the midst of the chaos. And so we both had to take a minute where we were just like, okay, this is it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk through it. And then the second part of what we did was not go into Superman mode. We brought our team together and we listened. We listened to what they were feeling and what their thoughts were about how we can better lead and manage this new normal. And I think that was very helpful for us. One, because as a leader, sometimes we have the misconception that it's all on us. And that's one thing that my husband has said a lot. It's not all on me. It's all on this team, this congregation, this family. And so after we listened to our team, we heard how they were feeling, then into vision casting a little bit. All right, we have a congregation that is predominantly older adults. And so we had to figure out, how can we navigate this new norm, reach people with the gospel of Christ virtually without isolating the most vulnerable population that can't come out right now. And that's those who are 60 and older. And so that time with our team, as well as that time to vision and strategize, was crucial for us to make some next steps that were the best for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think it's really important that you took those steps, because again, I've been able to see you strive and make adjustments in this season. So let's get to the nitty gritty. I want us to be like really real and really authentic, and be real to the people that will chime in today. What has been one of the biggest struggles that you had to overcome during this transition? Like, is it one thing? Is it multiple things? And how were you able to resolve those things?
Yeah, number one, staying in the house. call with my spiritual director today. He provides just guidance and, almost like therapy for me. And he was like, just be still. And I was like, I didn't realize how hard that was for me to be and not do. And so, I think the hardest part about being a leader sometimes for those of us who are high functioning, who are results oriented, is leading yourself. And so that has been my focus. Nathalie, when in life has the globe been given the time to sit down and do things differently? And so embracing that time and a new rhythm that doesn't mean I stop my work, but I have a little bit more time and effort to lead myself well and to lead myself better. And so that has been really helpful, and leaning on people to do so, like my spiritual director, friends like you. My husband has been really, really helpful in we're going to bare bones. We're going to perfect Bible study, Sunday worship, and loving on our people. Like that's all the focus right now. And so that new pace has created more opportunity for me to develop at a slower pace.
Wow. Wow. And that's good. I mean, if you guys were listening, it's the importance of your circle. That support system is super important because Nathalie, there's an assessment that that we know of, that she's one of the people that really, she's results driven and she likes interaction. So just imagine being in a space where you're driven for results and you were like going after the results, getting it. And now you've had to dial back. And also the interaction piece. She loves to interact with people. I mean, I'm an introvert. She's an extrovert. And now she's having to stay at home and not get that interaction that she's used to. But again, it's the importance of having those key people and those key things that can really help you through these seasons. So that's great that you have that circle. So has there been anything else? So in regards to family, because, you are a mom, you're a wife, how have you been able to get the results or navigate it and make a transition with your career and businesses, but also you're home all day with your spouse and your child and you're having to play mom and mom boss at the same time?
I'm probably going to say something that a lot of people are going to be like, what? There's no such thing as balance. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry. To all you balanced people out there, God bless you. She ain't. And being okay with that there are going to be times when I choose my husband. And in choosing my husband, I'm not going to get as many videos recorded or content done or calls that I'm going to take. And there are going to be moments when I choose my child and, something else is going to fall on the back burner. I think being empowered by the fact that I have choices, and choosing the right thing to do, that is the priority at that time. And that in itself takes some development, takes some time to get there, because they're used to, I remember when I first had my child, I was planning a lit conference. He was like 4 weeks old, and I was trying to make everything, do everything. And then I made the choice that I'm going to keep my family together. Wherever I am, my child is going to be with me. And that's going to have to be okay. And there are going to be Zoom calls that he's just going to bust in on. And that's just going to be.
Yes, we were on a call yesterday and he was like Vaseline all over the face. And this was, she was in the middle of hosting like a weekly, she has this leadership call that she hosts every week. So she's on the line with leaders and she's doing her thing, and homeboy came in Vaseline all over. And she's like, hey, it is what it is. Excuse me, guys, I got to take care of my son. So that is important, especially if you're a mom boss, you're out there trying to manage, you have a spouse, you have a son, you have children, you have so many other things you're juggling. And she's like, listen, it is what it is,
Is. Like this morning, my husband did Bible study last night, so he was away most of the day. So this morning when he came in, I made sure I made breakfast and we had a walk. All on the walk, I'm thinking about all the stuff I need to do. But I'm like, I'm gonna take this walk. And then my son goes, mommy, daddy, me. Mommy,
Aw.
daddy, me. And so he's saying that on the walk because yesterday daddy wasn't around all day. And so that time was important to him. And understanding that my ministry to my family is the highest priority to all of the other work that I do and all of the other people that I serve and love. But how can I give there and then take away from the people that God has called me to serve first?
I love that. The ministry of family. I love it. So, I mean, of course, you have your, your connectivity, making sure you have your God time, you have your ministry with your family. So, what would you say? What comes after that? Like, especially in this season. Okay, you've ministered to your family, you've had your time with God. What is the next thing that you typically try to focus on after that? Like, what would be the next ministry that you will put in that tier that you would focus on next?
Yeah, I would say my friendships and my relationships, checking in, especially at a time like this. Um, so I've just been, particularly with our teams, just saying, you know what, I'm going to dedicate more time to just know how you're doing. And so I've created a few different calls where it's just like, hey, what's going on? How you feeling? What are you working on? How can I pray for you? And doing the same thing with my friends and my loved ones. I think sometimes we, in our pursuit of leading and getting and doing, we forget about our greatest assets with our relationships, and understanding that in cultivating our relationships, not only are you pouring into those people that you love, but they're in turn pouring into you.
I love that. So the ways you're staying connected with your team right now is, through means like Zoom. What are other ways that you are staying connected to your team or keeping them motivated? Because I've been on calls with, some of the team members and they might be dealing with things as well. So like, what would you say to a leader? What kind of resources or what kind of things could you consider for them that they can maybe utilize to make sure that they're supporting their team and maintaining their relationships on the other side?
Yeah, I think so. There's 5 resources, and I'm not going to talk about them today because I'm talking about them tomorrow on Nuggets with Nathalie.
Yes.
There are kind of 5 ways that I'm choosing to lead during this time. One, through email, and kind of understanding that there's tiers to those communications, right? So how am I talking to the whole network? So all 300 people that are part of our network. How am I talking to my core leadership team? How am I talking to the team of volunteers and kind of stakeholders? And then we also have campus ministries and chaplains who are part of our network, who are, professionals whose needs are different. And so I'm utilizing multi platforms and modes to do that. Easy way through our group me's and our text messages. That has been very good in just having direct, like, here's some links, here's some resources, how are you doing today? If I see something that they're doing, dropping it in the group me so we can celebrate each other. So that has been helpful. And then we have our weekly check-in calls, and understanding that even though, it's important for us to get things done, really I need to hear how my team is doing before I can ask them to do anything. I need to be present with them. I need to feel, all of their anxieties, all of the transition, and sit with them in that, and able to motivate them to not get stuck there. So we have the Zoom calls, then we have live. So it's like, I'm gonna love on you and give you as many virtual hugs and positivity and light as possible. And so we're doing that. And then, so how are we also reaching, people who are not on the leadership team? So we've cultivated a playlist of inspirational songs on our YouTube page. We have a resource of a Bible study, and we're launching that through our app. So there's just all of these ways that we're, going to flood positivity and light, because it has come out of the network. Right now, I don't even want to be on social media. It's too dark. It's too negative. And so how are we going to flood as much positivity in their lives in the multiple ways that we can reach them?
Wow, that's really, really good. So, I mean, it's really important that, I mean, the part that you said that you have to check in with your team first before you start talking about work, that is so important. And I think a lot of leaders need to remember that we have to find ways to stay connected. Yes, we have to have certain tasks done. We might still have goals that we have, but we still have to make sure our people are okay, that they feel supported, that we care about them. I mean, it's not always about business. And I know, like, even me being in the military, a lot of the times we've heard mission first. But the people push our missions. They're the one that push our mission. So we have to make sure they're taken care of. Send them, you know, if they have questions about what's going to happen, are they going to get paid? Who did they need to reach out in HR? You need to sit there and answer those questions. You want to provide that level of surety when you're sitting and talking to them. So it's really important that we take care of our people. So it's so good and it's so important that you guys are doing that.
But you know, also interesting, Aisha, you know, you talked about the military, and I'm in a, you know, predominantly white institution. And so traditional forms of leadership are top heavy. So the expectation is the order, the vision, everything comes here, and then there's this trickle down. But when we built this network, we built it on flat leadership. And so we focus on transformational leadership, because transformational leadership proves that if you motivate, inspire, and clearly articulate a vision, the people will drive that organization and that mission at an accelerated rate than you will get in traditional hierarchy. And that's what I love about, you know, I don't know if I can say that, but I think that's the positive thing of what's happening right now with this shift, is that people have to rethink the way that they do things. And I think that's why for us as a network, our transformational leadership style has really empowered some amazing people to lead and to start new ministries, new businesses. You know, you met Kylan Pugh. He's like amazing, like creative genius. Yeah. And that in them leading and in them pushing and their voice being heard doesn't make my voice any less important, and doesn't make me even less than a leader. So I think even that shift of understanding the power of having a flat leadership where everybody's important, not just because I have the title, it means that I'm the head leader in charge. No, we're doing this together and empowering them to accelerate the work and for them to create more leaders.
I love that. Flat leadership. I've never heard it broken down like that. That is so good. And again, it's really important that we innovate during this time. So in regards to innovation, what were some areas that you were like, ooh, we need to make some shifts and adjustments to be more available virtually? What was your strategies to identify that, or what was it that made you be like, oh man, we really need to bring attention to this, just to kind of put it out there for people who might say, okay, how do I transition? What is it that I need to maybe consider in reaching people virtually that, you know, maybe they never thought that they needed before?
It's so funny, right? So my book, shameless plug, Transformation Starts With Me. Okay. Innovative Strategies for Bold Leadership.
Get a copy. Get a copy.
Shameless plug. But so I wrote that book with the idea of, you know, basically the framework that we use to build out this network. And so we built the network around innovation. And basically I can do all my work from my cell phone. So on that side of the spectrum, we've already been using Zoom because we're a national network. Nobody's in the office. I'm hardly in the office because I spend most of my time traveling. So on that end, we were prepared for this. You know, we've already been doing digital content. We already have an app. But then I serve in a church that's predominantly older adults that was not ready for the shift. And so living in the tension of these two communities who are both equally important to me, but helping this generation, like automatically, you got to live into the right now. You got to live into the reality that we cannot exist like we did before. And I would say that has been a more delicate dance of leading and guiding than with, you know, the National Network of Young Adults, because they're like, we ain't answering emails, so just text us.
Wow. So that's interesting. So you've had to support the older generation, or the, you know, I hate to call them the name, but what do they call the baby
We call
boomers?
them seasoned saints.
The seasoned, yes, the seasoned population. And then
Yeah.
you have the, what are they, unseasoned?
Well, they're still salty, but
But having to
but they're
have that,
very
like, to
savvy, right?
cater to both. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're still tech savvy. So our network right now, it's just been, you know, right now they're like dealing with, I can't graduate, or I had a job and that job opportunity is no longer there, or you know, I was supposed to go on an internship in Paris, or I'm serving a local church that is older and I'm the youngest person in that congregation. So they're dealing with a lot of life stuff. And then they're more inundated with technology now because all of their classes are online. If they're working, all of their Zoom meetings. So being sensitive to the time constraints on their lives and trying to find a way to make content and inspiration and motivation accessible to them. So that's that. But you know, they're in it. They're ready. Like, okay, I'll hop on a Zoom call. You don't have to walk them through what that means. You
Yeah.
know, they know that. But holding the hands of our older adults and being sensitive to how new this is, on top of all of the other anxiety of, I can't lose my house because this could be deadly for me. And loving them through it. And so one thing that my husband has done, he has made it worship accessible through conference call line, through Facebook, and then he puts the replay on YouTube. And then when it's on YouTube, he shoots a text message with a direct link so they could just push on it. And so I love that even in his approach, he's being intergenerational and sensitive to the needs of everybody.
I love that, intergenerational, because, you know, sometimes as leaders, we will work with, you know, people that grew up in a different time, different seasons. And it is important to be innovative, but also cater. That's why I always talk about customization. We have to realize that we have to customize how we interact with every single person. So somebody in their 20s might need more of a text type of interaction, or like you said, Zoom video conferencing, where someone that might be in their 50s or 60s, they might need a phone call. You might need to actually walk them through certain things because, you know, again, I guess, an older millennial. So
As
I've
a,
seen the transitions in regards
I
to,
a two-way pager.
yeah, you know, the beeper. Like I've seen so many. Yes. Girl, I had the beeper where you will put like little, I guess if you text her,
911.
oh, 911. Yes, I remember I couldn't keep up with that beeper bill though. Like I couldn't. That thing got cut off a couple of times.
I never got my beeper battery changed.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So we've seen the transitions, but again, we've been able to kind of evolve with the shifts and changes where a lot of people have not. Like my mom, she went live one day and I was like, Mom, do you know you're live right now? She did not, she had no clue. I had to call my brother, please get mom off of live. But she learned that lesson, you know? So it's really important that we customize our experiences with, you know, different people, regardless of the age group, and recognize that not everybody, or assume that everybody knows how to get on a video conferencing call or knows, you know, how to move ahead. You might need to call someone and break it down to them a lot. So that's really, I mean, I really appreciate that because the level of expertise you have is unique, but you guys are rolling through it. So before we close, like, what are some things that you think that you can give some leaders out there right now that are listening to kind of help them through this transition? I mean, you've already gave some awesome nuggets already, but what are some parting words that you can leave with the leaders to kind of just stay motivated, stay inspired, innovate, change, and really be able to take this time as a season of transition versus being stuck in the moment and thinking that, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I would focus on using my LIT framework: leadership, innovation, and transformation. Take this time to lead yourself well so that you can better lead your team. In regards to innovation, when else would you have a time to be as creative as you can be than now? Then thinking about the work that you do, whatever the results are, whatever is important to you, whatever is important to your team, and making sure that you innovated in this season in a way that you can still meet your goals, but you can be sensitive to the times. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to do what you always do in a limited reality, right? So the example that I like to give our congregation when we have been pushing for technology is, as an older adult, you remember the 8-track, the record player, the CD Walkman, the stereo, the iPod, and now the digital age. Whereas someone in the generation after you and I, after millennials, Generation Z, they don't remember Discman. So if you are the generation that has experienced the wealth and breadth of the technology and the evolution, then we have to do a better job of being intergenerational, where you can pass down wisdom to the new generation, and the new generation can help elevate the older generation with the new technologies. And so that has been, as far as innovation, key and paramount to our church's ministry. And I just got to stop and pause for the cause and say thank you to all of our team members that are like getting on the line and calling people, going to people's houses and helping them log on to Facebook, create accounts, and really using that time of innovation to be intergenerational and to bridge the gap. And then the next thing, transformation. These are hard times, but as difficult as these times are, we have not had a traditional worship service in 2 weeks, and 4 people joined our church.
Wow.
That's transformational. That's just saying that what you do, it doesn't matter what happens externally. If you are true to who God has called you to be and the work that God has called you to do, allow that transformation to take place. Be vigilant in who you are, who you're leading, and the mission that's placed in your life, and allow that to allow your message, allow your work to go forth in a way that changes lives. And so I'm committed to that. This has been a stressful time, but I'm so excited because it's also a great opportunity to lead, to innovate, and transform.
Wow. Woo, she dropped them nuggets. Oh, that's so good. And again, that's why I think this series is so important, because again, other leaders need to hear from other leaders and understand that we're all in this together, but we can learn from each other, find some strategies from one another to really support ourselves. Again, you have that self-ministry. Just thinking about the ministry aspect of it. You have that self-ministry. You probably have a family ministry, and you have that ministry. If you are someone that is of faith like myself and Nathalie, you have that other aspect of it, but you have to make sure and try to find innovative ways to tap into each and every one of them, excuse me. So I really appreciate you hopping on today and just giving those nuggets. Please tell the people what you got coming up. And before you even do that, talk about what you've been able to accomplish while you have been in this transitional season. Tell people where to find you, what you have coming up.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.nathalienelsonparker.com. I have a course that's already out, The Art of Securing Grants. If you have some downtime, this is a good time to get some money. Grant money is they already set the budget for 2020, so go ahead and go after the grant money now. Yeah. So I have that course. I'm working on the Transformational Leader right now, which is just a free coaching call. Again, I just want to pour into the lives of people, particularly at this most critical time. And so we're meeting wherever God is calling them to serve at this Leading in Transformation Conference. We're going to figure out if we need to make that a virtual conference or what that is going to look like. And then the National Network of Young Adults, which connects HBCU students and young professionals from across the country. So if you are a young professional, you want to definitely get connected with the National Network of Young Adults. Yeah, and then my book, Transformation Starts With Me, Bold Strategies for Innovative Leadership, is really a resource guide. So it provides a framework for, and all of the resources that I used to create this national network. So the way that we do our leadership, the way that we plan and vision and assess our vision and assess our plans, all of those resources are also in my book.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, I thank you for hopping on. I really appreciate it. Make sure you go check out Nathalie, get her book, go to her site. Please sign up for those coaching calls. Like I said, every Wednesday, they're so informational. She provides resources, just a great mind. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your leadership, and man, your family, your ministry team, like everyone you support, they're blessed to have you as a leader. So thank you for being able to effectively lead through chaos.
Thank you. And everybody jump on to the National Network of Young Adults as I now swap and interview Aisha.
Yeah. Yes. We're about to transition. So hop on that as well. And yeah, we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you again for not having me, but you coming on this platform. Thank you so much. All right. Talk to you again soon. Bye.